Okay, look at this. 95% down to zero. I mean, that's not a slow decline, right? That is a straight-up cliff, a total wipeout, practically overnight. So the big question is, what is this?
Well, what you're looking at is the market share for Nvidia's high-end AI chips, specifically in China's government projects. They went from owning the entire market, total dominance, to absolutely nothing. Gone. Overnight. And an event like this, it's a huge signal, a massive tremor in the global tech world, all because of one single government decision.
And that's exactly what we're going to dig into today. We're calling it China's Great AI Chip Firewall. We're going to look at the how and the why behind Beijing's decision to just unplug from the rest of the world's AI tech. It's like they're building a digital fortress around their most important systems.
All right, let's get into the nitty-gritty. What did this policy actually say? Because, this wasn't some friendly suggestion or a gentle guideline. No way. This was a rock-solid directive, and it had immediate, and I mean immediate, consequences for some of the biggest names in Silicon Valley.
Okay, so the rules of this ban were just airtight. First off, any new government data centers, they have to use Chinese chips. Period. No exceptions. Then get this, for any projects already underway but less than 30% finished, they were told to literally rip out the foreign chips they'd already installed and cancel any outstanding orders. Wow. And for everything else, there's a ticking clock, a clear plan to phase them out. The bottom line is really, really simple. China's official AI future will have zero foreign silicon in it.
But you have to understand, a move this big, this aggressive, it doesn't just happen out of nowhere. It's not just a reaction. No, this is part of a much bigger, much longer-term game plan. It's all about China's technological endgame. And at the heart of it is this idea they call algorithmic sovereignty. So let's unpack that a little.
So algorithmic sovereignty, what is it? It's really the core philosophy driving everything we're talking about. It's this deep belief that for a country to be truly sovereign, truly independent in the 21st century, it needs to have total control over its entire digital world. We're talking the hardware, the software, the data, all of it. The ultimate goal is to be completely free from foreign influence, no strings attached.
And they put a date on it, 2027. That's the goal. The plan to get there basically rests on three pillars. First, hardware independence. That means mastering everything from chip design to manufacturing. Second, build a whole software ecosystem to run on that new hardware. And third, pull it all together under one national cloud system, all built on their own tech. It's a complete top-to-bottom playbook for becoming technologically self-sufficient.
Now, look, the leadership in Beijing isn't naive. They know this is going to hurt in the short term. It could mean project delays, it could mean their tech isn't quite as fast for a little while as their domestic stuff catches up. But the thinking is, it's a price they're more than willing to pay. For them, it's about choosing some pain now to avoid a future where they could be, as they see it, held technologically hostage.
So, okay, that's China's strategy, but what about the other side of the coin? What does this mean for the American companies that used to basically own this market? Well, for them, it means a multi-billion-dollar market just, poof, vanished into thin air.
And yeah, we have to come back to this visual because it just says it all. The impact is so stark. Before this all went down, Nvidia had a mind-blowing 95% of this specific market. After the ban, zero, zilch. It's a total and complete lockout. And you can hear the frustration from the very top. Nvidia's CEO, Jensen Huang, he really didn't pull any punches. He basically called the U.S. export controls that led to all this a policy mistake. His argument is that it essentially backed China into a corner, forcing them to wall off this huge market and, in the process, turning them into a fierce competitor.
When the dust settles, what you have is a really clear set of winners and losers. On the American side, you've got the giants, Nvidia, AMD, Intel. They just lost a massive customer. But over in China, it's a huge win for their domestic champions, companies like Huawei and Alibaba. They've just been handed this enormous, protected market, basically guaranteed by their own government. They're now the go-to suppliers for the second biggest economy on the planet, and you can bet they've got massive state support to help them close any remaining tech gaps, and fast.
But this goes way beyond just corporate winners and losers. This move is a signal of something way bigger. What we're actually witnessing here is the creation of a new kind of geopolitical fault line, one that could split the entire tech world in two.
And when you look at the strategic dependencies, there's this really fascinating imbalance. The US, for example, is heavily dependent on China for things like rare earth minerals. You need those for pretty much all high-tech manufacturing. Getting out of that dependency, that could take years, maybe even decades. But China's dependency on US chips, They were able to cut that cord instantly with a single government order. It's like flipping a light switch.
And that right there really gets to the heart of the matter. What we're seeing is a fundamental shift in thinking. The whole idea of these deeply interconnected global supply chains, well, that era might be fading. And what's replacing it is this era of, let's call it, technological nationalism, where the top priority for major countries is just becoming self-reliant, no matter the cost.
So, all of this leaves us with one final, huge question. It really feels like we're heading towards a future with two completely separate parallel tech worlds, one led by the US and the West, and another built and controlled by China. So what happens to everyone else? What happens to innovation itself when the world's tech map literally splits right down the